What if I told you there was a weapon that could fly forever? A missile that could launch from deep inside Russia, circle the entire globe for days if needed, and then, from a direction you never expected, deliver a nuclear warhead to any city in the United States. Sounds like science fiction, but on October 28, 2025, Vladimir Putin announced that it is now a reality. This is the story of a weapon known as Burevestnik, or Skyfall. It is a nuclear-powered, nuclear-armed cruise missile, and Russia claims it has just completed a successful full-range test. For years, U.S. intelligence has viewed this project as a dangerous, technically impossible boondoggle, a propaganda piece more likely to irradiate its own launch site than ever reach a target. But if this new claim is true, it represents a seismic, terrifying shift in the global balance of power. It's a weapon designed for one purpose: to make all of America's multi-trillion-dollar missile defenses completely and utterly obsolete. So, is this a credible doomsday threat, or the biggest military bluff in modern history? Today we're going to analyze the science, the disastrous history, and the terrifying strategic implications of the weapon they call Skyfall. To understand why this weapon is such a game-changer, you have to understand how it's different from every other nuclear weapon in existence. The traditional cornerstone of nuclear deterrence is the Intercontinental Ballistic Missile, or ICBM. An ICBM is essentially a giant rocket. It launches, flies into space on a high, arcing, and most importantly, predictable trajectory, and then releases its warheads, which fall back to Earth. Because their path is predictable, we can track them with satellites and radar and theoretically try to intercept them. A conventional cruise missile, like a Tomahawk, is different. It's basically a small pilotless jet. It flies low within the atmosphere using its wings and a jet engine to hug the terrain and hide from radar. But it has a crucial limitation: fuel. A Tomahawk missile has a range of about 1,500 miles. It's a tactical weapon, not a global one. The Burevestnik missile aims to combine the best of both worlds and eliminate their weaknesses. It flies low like a cruise missile, but it's powered by something that has been the holy grail of rocketry for over 70 years. A compact airborne nuclear reactor. So how does that work? In simple terms, the missile is a nuclear-powered ramjet. It launches using a conventional solid rocket booster. Once it reaches sufficient speed and altitude, the reactor kicks in. It sucks in air, uses the unshielded reactor core to heat that air to extreme temperatures, and then expels it out the back, generating thrust. Because the reactor can theoretically run for years, the missile's fuel is the very air it flies through. Its range is not limited by fuel tanks, but only by the mechanical endurance of its components. This gives it a practically unlimited range. And that unlimited range is the key to its strategic purpose. An ICBM has to fly the most direct route over the North Pole. A Burevestnik doesn't. It can launch, fly south, circle South America, and approach the United States from the Gulf of Mexico. It can fly over the Pacific for days, evading detection, and come in from the west. It can weave, dodge, and follow a flight path so complex and unpredictable that trying to intercept it would be nearly impossible. It is, by design, the ultimate defense killer. This terrifying concept isn't new. The U.S. experimented with a similar idea during the Cold War with Project Pluto, but abandoned it because it was deemed too dangerous, too dirty, and too destabilizing. The weapon was nicknamed the Flying Crowbar because it was designed to just crash into the ground after dropping its bombs, spreading radiation everywhere. Russia revived this doomsday dream for one reason: its deep-seated paranoia about American missile defense. After the U.S. withdrew from the Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty in 2002, the Kremlin became convinced that America's goal was to build a defensive shield so perfect that it could launch a nuclear first strike on Russia without fear of retaliation. So, in 2018, Vladimir Putin unveiled a suite of new, invincible weapons designed to guarantee Russia's retaliatory capability. This included the Avangard hypersonic glide vehicle and the Sarmat heavy ICBM. But the most audacious of them all was Burevestnik. From the very beginning, however, the project has been a catastrophic failure. U.S. intelligence has tracked numerous test launches over the years, nearly all of which ended in crashes. The most infamous incident occurred in 2019 near Neonoxa in northern Russia. A mysterious explosion at a naval test site killed at least 5 nuclear scientists and caused a significant spike in radiation in the nearby city of Severodvinsk. Russian authorities were secretive and contradictory in their explanations, but U.S. officials concluded that the explosion was the result of a failed attempt to recover a crashed Burevestnik missile from the seabed. The incident exposed the project's Achilles heel. This isn't just a weapon. It's a flying, unshielded nuclear reactor. It's a Chernobyl on a missile. Every failed test, every crash, risks creating a radiological disaster. The technical challenges are almost insurmountable. Building a reactor small enough to fit inside a missile, yet powerful enough for flight, and reliable enough not to fail catastrophically. For years, this trail of disasters led many in the West to believe that Burevestnik was little more than a Potemkin missile, a bluff designed to look impressive, but that would never actually work. A paper tiger. But what if it's no longer a bluff? The announcement on October 28, 2025, claims a successful test. If we take that claim at face value, the entire strategic landscape of nuclear deterrence has been fundamentally altered. The biggest and most immediate impact is on U.S. missile defense. America's primary strategic defense system, the Ground-Based Mid-Course Defense, or GMD, is almost entirely oriented to defend against a northern attack. Its radars and interceptors in Alaska and California are positioned to watch the skies over the Arctic Circle, the shortest and most logical flight path for Russian or Chinese ICBMs. A weapon like Burevestnik makes that entire architecture irrelevant. By approaching from the south, it bypasses our most powerful radars and our primary interceptor fields. Our defenses are effectively facing the wrong way. Building a new 360-degree sensor and interceptor network to cover all possible attack vectors would be a decades-long effort costing, conservatively, hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars. Second, it creates a nightmare for arms control. Existing treaties are built around verifying and counting launchers for ballistic missiles, silos, and submarines. How do you verify a weapon that can be launched from a mobile platform and then fly for days on an undetectable path? You can't. It's a weapon designed to exist outside of any verifiable treaty framework, making future arms reduction talks incredibly difficult. Finally, it radically complicates crisis decision-making. The current system relies on launch on warning. Our satellites detect the heat bloom of an ICBM launch, we confirm it with radar, and the president has mere minutes to decide how to respond. A low-flying nuclear-powered cruise missile might not be detected until it's much closer to its target, shrinking response times, and increasing the risk of a catastrophic miscalculation during a tense international crisis. It is, in every sense, a deeply destabilizing weapon. So we are left with the ultimate billion-dollar question. Is this a credible threat, or is it a masterful piece of psychological warfare? There are two distinct possibilities. The first is that this is a massive bluff. Russia, facing economic strain and a conventional military bogged down in protracted conflicts, is using the idea of this weapon as a cost-effective way to project power. By announcing a successful test, whether it happened or not, they forced the United States to spend trillions on new defenses, sow anxiety among the American public, and gain leverage on the world stage. The announcement itself is the weapon. The second possibility is that, after years of disastrous failures, and at a horrific human and environmental cost, Russian scientists have actually managed to solve the impossible engineering problems. They may have created a weapon that, while perhaps not perfectly reliable, works well enough to pose a credible threat. The most likely reality probably lies somewhere in the middle. The Burevestnik system is likely still deeply flawed, highly dangerous to operate, and exists only in very small numbers. But it may have reached a point of minimal operational capability, enough for Putin to declare it a success. Ultimately, whether the test on October 28th was a complete success or a carefully staged piece of propaganda almost doesn't matter. The doomsday weapon is officially back in the headlines. The Kremlin has put the world on notice that it is committed to developing a new generation of invincible weapons. And in doing so, it has opened a new, terrifying, and dangerously unpredictable chapter in the age of nuclear weapons.